Good afternoon. Welcome back to the channel. This video is not financial advice, not financial advisor. Do your research, make your decisions. Okay, guys, welcome back. So this video is going to be about a lot of different things: ICP, caffeine, cloud, Dom's post, Elon takeover, and probably a couple other things as well. I do want to start with Dom's post yesterday, just because this put a big smile on my face, because I have a unique understanding of what he's describing here and the problem itself, and how far away we are from a rational, accurate, technical conversation in the public square in crypto. And if you look at the public conversation like a ocean of trash, that's probably an accurate description, because most people believe falsehoods, misconceptions, because that's what they've been fed over the last however many years. And this is another reason why I get a little charged up when people criticize Definity about marketing. I get it in a general sense. That's why I do what I do. And that's why I'm trying to do what I'm doing with cloud, right? So it's not like I think that there couldn't be more or better marketing efforts. However, most people who say that do not understand this situation, because when you're in an industry, let's just call this the blockchain industry, and 95 plus percent of the people in that industry believe misconceptions and things that are just not true, things that have no basis in objective reality. You have to factor that into any given marketing approach, because if you're going to spend additional resources, it does no good if they're not effective. In order for them to be effective, they have to stick with the target audience. The problem is the target audience believes, has layers of lies that they've been, accumulating over the last however many years, because that's what they've been fed. And so there's almost a re-education process that has to happen as a part of marketing strategies, which makes it that much more difficult. And even if the initial message does stick, a lot of these foundations can just pivot their talking points to make it, to further muddy the waters and confuse people. And that's what they've been doing, many of them. And and so the whole more marketing thing, it's just noise. It's just typing a thing, takes 2 seconds to send out, and then that's it. It's nothing. Unless you're actually going to roll up your sleeves and come out on the front lines and do it yourself, you're just pissing in the wind, because you have no idea what this environment is like. This environment will eat people up and spit them out. And it's happened to many, many people. And it will continue happening to people, because this is a crazy, chaotic environment where there's tons of lies, bullshit, misconceptions, propaganda. It's information warfare at a scale most people have never seen, at a scale I've never seen. I've been calling this information warfare going back to like late 2021, early 2022. This was almost 2 years ago now. And a lot of people in the ICP space still aren't here yet, and that's reasonable. I get it. Everybody has their own threshold of things they need to see before they kind of make the turn. And for most people, they're going to need to see price go up, and they're going to need to see more involvement from serious institutions. And I think that's reasonable. But also, you kind of have to, you don't have to, but I would just recommend taking a step back and really looking at this situation and saying, all the big content creators have started to or have already covered ICP. That was a big reason why people didn't think ICP was, nobody's talking about it, right? That in the market, those two things. But now all these content creators have gotten on the record talking about ICP, right? So now they're safe. They're safe in the future. Guys, I told you it was going to be, I know that 99% of my coverage was talking about other things, but I told you, here it is. A year and a half ago, I mentioned it for 2 minutes. And, so that's the situation. This is not, you have to factor in the environment itself into your analysis process. Because if you don't, nothing's going to make sense. Nothing. And if you look at the post that he made and kind of recap some of the issues, differentiation from layer ones, right? That's been a problem, because so many layer ones are just saying, hey, we're doing the same thing, right? Or they'll tailor and shift their messaging to make it seem like they're doing the same things as ICP, while never mentioning ICP for the most part. They all know what's going on, guys. These layer one founders know what's going on. Most of these people could not get through an interview with me. They would melt just having to answer basic questions. And so that's why most of them hide. Most of them only take softball interviews, right? There is a reckoning of major proportions coming to this space. It's not going to happen all at once, but it's going to be a thing that happens over time. We have strayed so far from any sense of like honesty, normalcy, like focusing on real technical solutions in this space. Yeah, there will likely be, I almost feel the need to, like, I have to do some type of documentary in the future just so the 2021 to 2025, that time period, there's the truth is out about that time period. Because the ones that don't get wiped out with the ICP takeover, that still survive, but that were on the wrong side of history in all reality from over the last 5 years, they're going to just, they're going to try to rewrite history. A lot of people in this space are going to try to rewrite history because they don't want to give up their perceived power. And being the one outlier in the crypto space makes it even more difficult because you're delivering a message that is unique and different from everybody else in the space, right? You actually have the differentiators. You actually solve for all the problems. You actually solve for Web3. But when all of these other foundations can just pivot their talking points and messaging, it creates an information warfare scenario, which makes marketing 1,000x harder on Definity, whether they'll say that or not. Yeah. So I made a post about this because this is one of the things that the Cloud Foundation is going to be tackling. Why? Because I'm already doing it. I've been doing it, and it's natural for me. I can do it on the fly with almost no prep whatsoever. I understand the misconceptions that Dom is talking about because I've been talking about them for the last few years. And I understand how to explain things to clear up these misconceptions. And that's going to be needed over the next few years. People in this industry are not just going to eagerly, willingly give up their perceived power and status. We're in environment A and we're going to environment B. And during the process, there will be friction. Yes, there's going to be serious entrepreneurs that see the future, that make the pivot, and that are very happy to openly say, this is why we're using ICP. But there's going to be a lot of other people that fight it tooth and nail, and they will say and do anything to muddy the waters, to confuse people, to slow down progress, to to take the conversation back. There's every incentive in the world to do that in this environment. And it's been happening. And it's going to continue to happen. But when the ICP takeover really starts happening and people see it and they start seeing everything that all the perceived importance and power that they thought they had slipping away, there's going to be a lot of people melting down. The ICP ecosystem, ICP is such a, everything happening in the ICP ecosystem is such a great microcosm for everything happening in crypto. But the opportunity in crypto was to tell the truth. I didn't really look at it like that back in the day, like I do now. But now that it's all played out and I can look back and I kind of see where, as a creator, where I am, um, the opportunity was to tell the truth, not to figure out the quickest way to monetize your channel or anything like that. But I will say this too about creators, because we have a bad habit in the ICP ecosystem, which is full of a lot of trash people, in my opinion. Not the majority of people, but there's a decent percentage here. Um, Creators, there's not that many people that can do this, guys. Yes, there are tons of people that could get on their laptop and make videos talking about ICP. But when it comes to doing this effectively and explaining the differentiators with ICP, explaining why it's its own thing and how it's different from these layer ones, why that's important and how all this can come together and clearing up a lot of these misconceptions, that's something that not everybody can do. Not even most people. We're talking about a very, very small percentage of people can do that effectively in this environment. Because again, you have to factor in the environment into everything. because it is a unique environment that creates tons and tons and tons of challenges that most people never even see. This is what Definity is trying to market into this mess. A very corrupted space, conversation, everything. And so for creators, there's not that many people that can do this, guys. Yeah. And there will need to be public educators, technical communicators, I guess, helping manage this transition. It will help move the conversation forward that much faster if there's people out on the front lines addressing misconceptions, addressing fake technical rebuttals, and there will be many. But see, those stick in this environment. I can call them a fake technical rebuttal. I can look at it and say this is bullshit. But if it sticks with the majority of people on crypto Twitter, it needs to be addressed. But the space mostly been set up as a scam and fake price action, fake technology, fake accounts, fake engagement, fake. There was every incentive imaginable to take from this space, and that's exactly what happened. And look at where we are now. But guys, I've never been like the future is so crystal clear at this point. And yeah, so I would just, if I was you, I would like try to get away from the this shit show of crypto Twitter and all the noisy bullshit and just prepare for the future. All right. Because we're moving into a new era. And Dom used to back in the day, this was back, I think like later 2021 and into 2022. Dom used to just call a spade and just lay it out what was happening in the space. And he got a lot of criticism for it in the ICP ecosystem. I remember this vividly. And but by people who themselves in the ICP ecosystem were just dumbed down enough to not see what Dom was telling them was just the raw, unfiltered truth about what was going on in this industry. A lot of people in the ICP ecosystem kind of fell for all the propaganda about Ethereum and Solana and this and that or the third. And if you don't see this now, you will in the future, in my opinion. Okay. Yeah. But there's enough. See, here's another thing too, why I get frustrated with internal stuff, or I used to get frustrated with internal stuff. I'm moving on now. Okay. I'm with Dom on this. I'm moving on. The Cloud Foundation is moving on from all the stupid stuff that doesn't add any value and just creates noise and misconceptions. Yeah. But there's enough challenges externally with this whole entire shit show. With everything Dom described in his post, there's enough challenges externally getting the ICP message to stick in the mainstream in the midst of this. But then to also have to deal with internal nonsense, it just compounds the problem. When we have people internally creating nonsense, creating noise, extracting, not adding value, it just compounds the problems that are already there externally in the crypto space. Notice how many of the same scammy things that were happening across all of crypto kind of trickled into ICP. Not just trickled into ICP, developed a stronghold on ICP, right? But I think that their best days have come and gone at this point because it's all onward. Yeah. But we've been conditioned to accept less than mediocrity and celebrate, not just accept mediocrity, celebrate mediocrity, less than mediocrity. And I can't wait till people that are here right now see how much things change over the next few years. Yeah, all of this time period will make sense in the future. You will be able, most sane people will be able to look back on this time period and said, okay, it makes sense. I get right now that it seems kind of it's just too much, but it's going to make sense in the future. You're going to be able to look back. It's all going to be, you're going to see it crystal clear. And the big creators, again, they have covered ICP. They're on the record now, right? Um, but you should expect your expectations when you get on your phone and you're looking up information in this space, okay? Your expectations should be that you should expect to get lied to. You should expect for people to try to deceive you. There's every incentive in the world to do so. You're, I mean, there's, most of the internet is trash to begin with, but I mean, in this space, there's a unique situation in this space where there's almost every single incentive in the world to deceive people. So that should be your expectations. You have to take the filtration process of information very serious because we're in a situation where there's nonstop information warfare, and it's a very real thing. And if you don't get that part of it, it's like you're probably being deceived. And I would just stress the long game approach. If you don't have an 8-year neuron, not financial advice, make your own decisions, but having an 8-year neuron would be a very smart move for you and your family, everybody that you know. All right. Whatever you decide to do with whatever remaining part of your portfolio, knock yourself out, but it would be a smart move for people's future if they had an 8-year neuron. I'll just put it that way, but not financial advice. So you do you. Yeah. I just really want to stress, people, I would not get caught up in ecosystem noise or bullshit or drama or crypto noise, bullshit or drama. Worry about you. Worry about setting yourself up for the future and positioning yourself to where you're going to be good in 5, 10, 15 years from now. But it's only going to look more and more like this, especially as caffeine gets rolled out and as the whole self-writing internet paradigm just starts to eat everything, and it's going to start to eat everything. Yeah. Now, onto cloud, okay? And onto cloud as it relates to this conversation, because it all ties in together. It all ties in together. There's so much alignment. It's insane. That's what I've been saying for the last however many months. It's just for a decent percentage of people, it's like I'm talking to a brick. But so think about the Steve Jobs video that I shared the other day, right? I shared his however long that, like 5, 10 minutes, something like that. And he's talking about their new marketing and branding strategy. But he uses Nike as an example here. And he says the best job ever was Nike. Why did he say that, though? Because their approach was to celebrate great athletes and great athletics, right? And so their Nike's approach for their marketing was, let's celebrate great athletes, let's celebrate great athletics. Cloud is doing something very similar. So if you think about what we're going to be doing a lot of different things, but one of them is celebrating great technical solutions, great technical innovations, great builders, people who solved real problems. And Chris did a video the other day, great video, right? But his video serves for marketing, for ICP, for caffeine, and for cloud. So by us celebrating great technical innovations, we help get them more exposure, but we also help get ourselves more exposure. So it's bi-directional brand amplification in every single way. And it's very much in line with Nike's original strategy. And it's also in line with everything that Steve Jobs was saying about thinking different, about being different, about having a different approach, about knowing how to differentiate from everybody else. Cloud's done that pretty well here recently, right? But combination of the Nike approach, celebrating great tech, but also the Apple approach, thinking differently, bi-directional brand amplification, no real FUD. Now, next part, I didn't really see a lot of FUD about the whole caffeine thing. So there was no real FUD for me to address. So that was great. I think that's a really good sign. I do. Yeah. But I will still, between now and caffeine's release, I'll get a couple videos out, technical videos going through differentiators. I just don't want to, like, if I do the video tomorrow and then we have another 2-week FUD cycle in the ICP ecosystem, it's almost like that video just got Thanos snapped into the shadow realm. And like, because it's not going to stick when there's weeks of FUD after it. So I might wait until closer to the Caffeine AI official launch to start putting these videos out. Okay. But moving away from the other crowd, yeah, moving away, done. Um, and if you just think about the synchronization between what's Dom's saying, just talking about moving on, I'll talk about this subject for one last time, since I feel like our project is moving on, talking about him and ICP, right? Or Definity and ICP. And it's interesting that that's happening kind of at the same time where The Cloud Foundation is moving on and kind of creating our own like breakaway thing. Yeah. But this other situation with Elon, okay, let's get to the next part here. Elon, everything with Trump. I'm not going to get too much into this because I think a lot of it is um, I think a lot of it is theater, but I think it's also a very, very, very big signal, which has happened with Elon. And I think this is the CEO takeover. I've been talking about this for a long time. I just don't talk about it much anymore because, yeah, it just the conversation changed over the years. But all instability, all problems with the old paradigms is very bullish for all the new paradigms. All instability, all everything all of that is big signal for we're moving to a new era. We're moving to a new time. They can no longer do their job effectively. And so it's time for new systems, new technology, new processes, a new world. And that's where we're going. Yeah. Yeah. Um, there's nowhere to go. Governments are bankrupt. It's over. Yeah, it's over. The debt-based model forces them to continue to print over and over and over and over again. But if you just look at the trend, go back over the last 10 years, and it's not just in the United States, regardless of where you are, you've probably seen the last 10 years where there's been a lot of delegitimization of politicians and federal government in a general sense. And in my personal opinion, it's because we're not going to have this giant federal government years from now because they're not going to be needed. They're going to be replaced with technology. And so what's happening right now is the idea of centralized federal government is being destroyed in people's minds before it's destroyed in the physical universe. First, it's we don't, they're just destroying the idea of centralized federal government so that whatever comes next, people are ready for something else because this model in their mind is broken because they've seen enough things over the last 10 years to just accept this model's broken. What else we got? Because this ain't working, right? Automation applies to government too. Oh, also on Trump, when it comes to marketing, branding, everything, guys, you are the company you keep. Okay. So I just can't overstress. If you're planning, even if you're not planning, I would always consider your personal brand in everything that you're doing. You are the company that you keep. Even though, again, I think, Elon, I don't think that there's a good person anywhere in this whole thing, right? When I say good person, I don't want to talk about it like that. I'm sure Elon's got his own stuff too, right? And yeah, but you are the company that you keep. That's the main thing that I wanted to say with that. But yeah, automation applies to government too. And think about this, the private sector has been the ones that have been leading the UBI conversations over the last however many years. And if I had to guess, I would say that's probably because they're going to be the ones that are doing it. And they're going to create incentive programs with their AI models and different users for things like UBI. I think that's going to how it's going to play out in some ways, maybe not exclusively. Maybe some governments do UBI, but you notice that the private sector has been leading a lot of these conversations. They aren't just figuring everything out on the fly, guys, with this whole situation with Trump and Elon. It's like this is the future of the world that we're talking about. In my opinion, they're not figuring anything out on the fly. All the main core things have already been figured out, and we're just going to watch it unfold. I look at this like I'm watching a movie, and I'm just trying to dissect everything the best that I can and forecast the best that I can. Institutions plan years ahead. This is just a fact. And the bigger they are, the further out in the future they have to plan. Years in advance, 5+ years in advance, all the time for so many different parts of their business. It doesn't mean that every single thing they're forecasting is going to be 100% accurate, but they have to do it. The financial system is toast. The web is toast. At any time, some major event could happen. Anytime. Yeah. But Elon, look at everything that Elon's running already, right? Tesla, X, Neuralink, Gronk, SpaceX, Starlink. He's in charge as far as I'm concerned. All right. You ever let me get half of that? Like you let me get half of that power and I'm in charge. Okay. Just so you know. Like if you ever see me in a situation like this in the future, I'm probably going to be the one that's in charge, regardless of whoever is believed to be in charge. But there's missing pieces here with the different companies and technologies that he manages and runs, right? And the companies and everything, but web infrastructure. And if you think about Dom's recent conversation out at Davos with Elon Musk's brother, and how Starlink could fit into this, and how everything with all the new technology, with canister technology, everything with ICP, how that can fit into everything Elon's doing too. Again, the value proposition for ICP in big tech is 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 perfect. I only gave the example of Google and Google Photos because that was the easiest example to explain from a technical point of view and laying out the value proposition. But the same value prop exists for X, for Elon, for Zuckerberg, especially for Zuckerberg, because they don't really have their own infrastructure. They don't have their own cloud infrastructure, not like AWS and Google. And so the value prop for ICP in these tech companies is very, very strong. And it would not surprise me if they were already working together. And it's just something that we're going to find out whenever we find out. But the cloud, this is just too perfect. Okay. And again, this differentiates ICP. Go read Dom's post. What is he talking about? The inability to differentiate ICP from all of these other things. Why? Because we're in the middle of an information warfare campaign that's been going on for years. And as a part of this information warfare campaign, they dirtied up the entire ecosystem, or they dirtied up the entire crypto space with tons and tons and tons and tons of scams. A lot of those being in meme form, right? This whole meme culture. And so this is perfect in every single way. Every single way. It's relevant to the current trends that have been planted in this entire crypto space with memes and everything else, and it differentiates ICP in a quick and just one image. It differentiates ICP. And it puts ICP in a category with Google Cloud and Amazon Web Services and no longer Ethereum and Solana. And that's what we need. Closing, all instability with old paradigms is good for new paradigms, in my opinion. These are signals of the changing of the guard. Okay. The universe is signaling to you that major, major change is coming because it is. It's a movie for the most part, in my opinion, from what I can see. And we are in environment A, moving to environment B. There will be some friction, but people never willingly, eagerly give up power, or even if it's perceived power. So there will be some friction. How much, I guess we'll see. But as far as my part of the Cloud Foundation, we're going to do a lot of other things. Other contributors will do other things within the cloud ecosystem. But as far as my contributions, I'm going to be on the front lines cleaning a lot of this mess up because people are going to have to do it. And there's not very, very many people that can do it. And I've already been doing it. I already know what the misconceptions are. I already know how to explain them. So it sticks with people. And so it just makes sense. That's one of the biggest needs. That's one of the biggest problems to solve. It's not just me saying that. Dom did a long post explaining it. And so for my part of the Cloud Foundation, that's going to be a big part of what I'm doing in the future to help move the conversation forward, to help reach the next person. Because that's another thing in the ICP ecosystem. A lot of times, normies get into the ICP ecosystem. If you're here, understand that a lot of my focus is reaching the next person. Like a lot of times that's lost on people once they're here. There's a lot of people that don't get it yet, that still need to be reached. Yeah. And so any and all support of the Cloud Foundation will help further that objective. And the marketing challenges for Definity, I just can't overstate that. Like they're this is the most complicated marketing environment of all time. And it's already difficult to market technology and software anyways, because most people don't really have a good understanding of technology and software. The industry has conducted a 4+ year, it's probably been much longer than 4 years, propaganda campaign to muddy the waters and confuse people, period. This is why nobody responds to me in this entire industry. I tell you what, a lot of people have a big fucking reality check coming in this industry. And they better steer very, very clear of me as this starts mainstreaming and as ICP starts becoming a big thing. A lot of people in this space better steer clear from me. Yeah, not because it's not like a lot of these people don't respond to me just because I'm a smaller account, because a lot of them, they have more engagement, but it's not like 10x more engagement. It might be 2x more engagement. But a lot of times accounts are ignoring me because they don't have anything to say. They know what I'm saying is accurate and they have no rebuttal. And so they probably just think, maybe if I just ignore this guy, he'll go away. Streisand effect is going to happen in spades in this entire space over the next year, 2 years, 3 years. And I may start turning it up on media outlets. Cloud will also replace crypto media. Crypto media has failed on a scale that's hard to explain. So cloud is also going to be replacing a lot of crypto media outlets because they've shown they can't be in that position and actually give honest information to the general public. So now we're going to fucking replace them. And I can explain that so easily to the general public using all of their stories over the last few years. Cloud is in such a perfect position in every single way. It's so crazy. Yeah. Um, and I'm probably going to start addressing certain accounts, projects, and people outside of the ecosystem to try to help get the ICP message out of the ICP ecosystem. And guys, I'll take on anyone in this entire space. I really don't care. I will get on with anybody in this entire space to make the case for ICP, as long as it helps move the conversation forward. I'm ready to go. And caffeine is the biggest news in all of tech, all of software, all of IT. Caffeine's the biggest news in the world of AI, but you shouldn't expect to hear that. You should stop having the expectations that everybody is going to just be super honest and forthcoming about all the most important information out there. That's not reality. I did it because it made sense to me. Jerry did it probably because it makes sense to him. Other creators did it because it makes sense. But people that are really in the know in this space are not going to come out and lay everything out for you guys. They're just not going to do it. And you shouldn't expect that. But the Raoul Paul interview, the clips I saw from the Raoul Paul interview were great. Yeah, great. And shout out to Real Vision and Raoul Paul. You know, I could criticize them for not covering ICP more over the last few years, but at the end of the day, if they're covering it now, and they were covering it back in the day too, that's more than 95% of other creators. So as long as when these creators start turning and start covering ICP, could we criticize them for not covering ICP more over the last few years? Yes, we could. Would there be some validity to that? Probably. But what moves the conversation forward the fastest? And guys, there's like, I want to take some shots at a lot of these mainstreamers, probably as much as anybody, but I also can acknowledge that when they start covering ICP and when they start turning, that if they have more support from the ICP crowd, it's likely just going to help move the conversation forward that much faster. And if they don't have support, or especially if they have a lot of shit coming at them from the ICP crowd, it might disincentivize them to continue covering ICP, right? And so I'm just primarily interested in the conversation moving forward and us cleaning up a lot of this bullshit so people actually understand objective reality. That's all I care about, is just cleaning this up for people. People should have honest, accurate information so they can make smart decisions for themselves and their families. It's been so frustrating to watch this over the last few years, is that so many people are going to make certain decisions because they were given bullshit information. But at the end of the day, it's each individual's personal responsibility to filter information, to do additional research, to do more due diligence, to listen to alternative takes, all of those things. So we're moving into a new era, guys. Yeah. And yeah, it's the world is never going to be the same. And the laws of the universe, in my opinion, are going to be rewritten over the next 15 plus years. So it's going to be a crazy time. That's all I have for this video. This was not financial advice. Do your own research. Yeah. And I'll get another video out pretty soon. So take care. Have a good day. I'll see you in the next video.